Food. In the pre-Hispanic period, food was very different from modern Mexican food. Corn was the most important crop, and it was more essential than any other ingredient. There were many vegetables, but there weren't sugary foods like today. People ate corn tortillas and prepared atole every day. There was no beef and there wasn't any milk. Were there snacks? Yes, there were insects which were considered healthier than meat. In fact, some of them were the richest sources of protein. People also drank cacao, which was the most valuable drink for nobles. Housing. Pre-Hispanic houses were simpler than modern houses, but some noble homes were the most beautiful in their time. In common villages, there were small houses made of wood and clay. There weren't big windows and there wasn't furniture like today. People usually slept on mats and used a small fire to cook. Were there luxurious buildings? Yes, there were places in cities like Tenochtitlan. They were built with stone and were decorated with bright colors. These homes were stronger and more comfortable than ordinary houses. Clothing in pre-Hispanic times was simpler but was also more symbolic than modern clothing. For common people, there were garments made of maguey fiber. There weren't many colors and there wasn't expensive jewelry. People wore basic clothes like the mashtlatl or the huipil. Were there fancy outfits? Yes, there were impressive suits for nobles and warriors. They were the most colorful and the most decorated clothes. Artisans created beautiful patterns, and warriors used feathers that were prettier than any modern costume.
Transportation. Transportation in the pre-Hispanic period was very different from modern transportation because there were no horse, car, or wheels for travel. There were cannon everywhere in the place like Tenochtitlan, and they were the most common way to move around the city. They weren't metal vehicles and there was any road like the one we have today. People walked long distances and carried goods on trade vehicles using a mecapal. Were their fast methods of travel? Not really. They were some long canyons, but they were slow than modern boats. However, they were the most useful for transportation food on the pleasant. Messengers. Coded TMMs ran across long routes and delivery message fast than others, making the strong and quick traveler of their time. Fun. Traditional games. During her childhood, it liked that there were many traditional Nahuatl games, and of them the petotl spitting, which was similar to play with a corn of glass doll. This game was simpler than modern toys, but it was the most common activity for girls. There were also children's versions of that one. The Mesoamerica ball games, although there weren't official of right match or young girls, were the dangerous games. No, there weren't. Most activity was created to teach discipline and coordination, and children players together in open escapes, music and dance. Among the Nahua people, music was more important than many everyday activity because it was present in almost every ritual. There were traditional songs called Cuitlau, and there were drums that were played during ceremonies. Women usually participate less in major rituals dance, so there weren't many moments where girls danced in the official ceremonies, but were there opportunity for them of Jewish music? Yes, there were during community celebrates Music was the most joyful part of the events, and family came together to sing and listen to rhythmical chants.
Character of the time. La Malinche, also known as Malintzin, Malinali, or Doña Maria, was born around 1500 in the region of Coatzacoalcos, in present-day Veracruz, Mexico. The exact date of her death is not completely clear, but historians believe that she died around 1529, probably in Spanish territory after the fall of Tenochtitlan. When she was a child, she was given or sold as a slave because of political conflicts among indigenous groups. She did not receive a formal education, but she learned several languages, including Nahuatl, Maya, and Little Spanish. Because of this, people consider her one of the most intelligent and skilled interpreters of her time. La Malinche had a son named Martin with Hernán Cortés, and later she married Juan Jaramillo, a Spanish conquistador with whom she also had a daughter named Maria.
She is famous because she was the main interpreted, cultural mediator, and advisor for Hernán Cortés during the conquest of Mexico. She helped community between the Spanish and different indigenous nations. She negotiated alliances, and she plays an essential role in many political decisions. Her linguistic abilities and her understanding of the Mesoamerican cultures made her the most influential figures of the 16th century. Physical historic description suggests that she was a young indigenous woman with dark hair, brown skin, and delicate face features typical of the peoples of the center of Mexico. Although there's a real portrait of her, colonial drawing of the show her wearing a traditional clothing and aesthetic because Cortes and Spexer International.